WWE, the World Wrestling Entertainment, has come in for some ridiculously unfair criticism lately as the mass media in America looks to sensationalize and gain full leverage on the Benoit family tragedy. This tells us a lot about the media, and the media has to change far more than the WWE needs to change. If it turns out that Benoit had a drug-induced fit, then it was Benoit to blame and his doctor, not the WWE. Of course we don't know this, and the media wants us to think it has happened, but that's all speculation. Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the chairman of the WWE, has been inventive, imaginative and pioneering as he created a new level of entertainment. It transcends a mere sport. It's wholesome and interesting, and while the public is fully aware of the storyline being a story, they watch it just as if they'd watch a movie, and come away very satisfied. The vast majority of the wrestlers are responsible and professional. If it turns out that the Benoit tragedy is due to Chris being negligent and drug-induced, the blame cannot fall on the WWE. It must be on Chris Benoit himself. Can the media please stop milking this tragedy for all it's worth? If any industry needs Congress investigation, it's the mass media. And Congress needs to start now. Examine this mass media, how they've handled this tragedy. Let's now go back to the first day of this tragedy and listen to the mass media as they attempt to harass the DA, Scott Ballard and Tommy Pope outside the Benoit family residence. Listen out now for their attempts to encourage Pope and Ballard to say something they don't want to say. They want a juicy story and they want to get it out of Pope and Ballard. Fortunately, both Pope and Ballard were able to defray the bait as they spoke in measured tones, much to the media's frustration. What you're about to hear should be investigated by Congress. Please listen to this barrage of questions. Don't go and tell me this is the media's job. The media is to question but not interrogate, and not to try and lead the witness. In this case, it's trying to lead the DA. Fortunately, as I've said, the DA and Pope were both very sensible and did not rise to the bait. I've obviously edited out the replies from Pope and Ballard to focus on how the media were trying to elicit a juiced-up storyline. Can the media please now tell the public the truth, the facts, and not try to create a new storyline from its own imagination? As I leave you now with the media barrage on the first day, please remember it is the media, not the WWE, that should be held more accountable. I hope Congress is listening.
We're going to go now to a news conference just getting underway in Fayette County, Georgia, about Chris Benoit, the wrestler.
Mr. Benoit, we know him anytime.
Strangled, or the son, we heard she was strangled, the son was smothered. But was the son smothered like with a pillow or something like that? Or
was the son in his bed?
Was he in bed?
Was he in his own bedroom?
Has he ever been arrested before? Here, in Fayette County. Was there any domestic violence with his wife? Do you know of him ever filing for a divorce?
Did you find any illegal substances, any steroids, any drugs that are of concern, any illegal substance?
What type of prescriptions?
Some of them anabolic steroids.
is there any indication of a motive?
It's based on what the autopsy showed, is that what you're saying?
There was some mention of text messages and possible phone messages left prior to his death. Can you elaborate a little bit on the text messages?
You mentioned the anabolic steroids, and you did say they were legal. There was a prescription for them, right? Any information that might have played a role in what happened, his use of those medications? Yeah, I mean, if they're contributed to his state of mind, is what I'm asking.
How long after killing his son did he commit suicide? How much time elapsed?
What will the toxicology reports be released that indicate what drugs were in his?
Where was his wife's body found?
So it was a full day between the fact that he killed his wife and then his son. A full day had elapsed.
She resisted or fought.
What time of night did he kill her?
Say what was in the text message. Can you characterize it? Was it sort of a cry for help, or was it somewhat disturbing to the person?
I would like to turn it over to our District Attorney, Scott Ballard, if you have any questions or comments for him.
Alluded to some bizarre circumstances. Could you go into that?
Any signs of struggle from the son or the wife?
He's sleeping when his father smothered him.
Scott, was she clothed with more clothes? Any activity left the residence at all during the weekend?
Do you know if his wife ever sought protection from him anyway, fearing domestic abuse?
What's a TPO typically sought for?
Mr. Ballard, are you able to reveal anything to us that might shed some sort of motive on what happened, what led up to this?
Was the Bible in the place there, the hands, the feet, the head,
or put on them in any way? How was the Bible positioned with the bodies?
There was no evidence that he was attempting to hide these bodies. He left them out, or he...
Do they have family in this area? If so, have you been able to talk to them, and what have they told you?
Were there any 911 calls that came from the house on Sunday?
Have you heard from the Wrestling Federation? Anybody else?
The bodies were found in 3 different rooms.
Would you describe again for us the situation or the scene where each of the bodies was and in what condition?
How much time elapsed between the murder of the wife and son, approximately, do you know?
When did he hang himself?
When you found the prescription drugs and the steroids, were they near his body? Where did you find them at?
He said he had an emergency, he had to come back. Did we ever figure out what the emergency was? He had an emergency, family emergency.
2 weeks for that.
So right now we can't say for sure he was on steroids. We know steroids were found.
Your work here at the house done?
There's no evidence that anyone else came into or left the house.
Snaps. One Bible found of the victim. No Bible
Could you
next
give us
to
your
him.
name and spell it? Were the Bibles identical, or?
Are they open? Is there any indication that the son may have reached out or called out for help? No phone calls or notes left or anything?